Welcome to the Construction Pals podcast, brought to you by Blue Tape, your source for the latest in the construction world. Hard hats off, headphones on, and let's get started.
And I'm your host, Rick Butler from Blue Tape. In today's episode, we're speaking with Ben Barrett, Strategic Partnership Manager at Hearth, about the challenges contractors and renovators face when offering financing to their customers. Hey, Ben, welcome to the pod, man. It's exciting for you to be here, and it's almost like old home week for you and I. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate you guys having me on here, and it's always good to catch up with you too. So
absolutely. Yeah, we see each other at trade shows and stuff like that, and it's always fun. Hey, you got such an interesting background. I mean, you're an Indiana boy.
Yeah, grew up in small rural Indiana. I absolutely loved Indiana. Me and my wife both spent a long time there. We're actually, we grew up together in high school, went to prom together, reconnected down the road, eventually got married, had kids, moved down here to Puerto Rico, where we've been here for the last 2 years. Kind of a benefit of working remotely. I get to travel around the country a lot, but we do get to, I'm blurred out my background here as you can't see me, Rick, but I do have one of my surfboards right back here, so I can catch some waves when I need to. And it's a little different life than Indiana.
So you do have a background in the construction field also, right?
Yeah. So right before I graduated college, I took a job at a commercial maintenance company in the Southeast United States. I graduated from Troy University. Was there for about a year and a half before the company was sold. I was in sales and a little bit of operations there to get kickstart. Then I started my own business, right? Maybe not a perfect timing. A couple of weeks after Bear Stearns ran us in trouble. So right at the beginning of the Great Recession, I started my own business, ran that, for 5 or 6 years. My brothers still operate, the business. It's kind of gone through a couple of different iterations. I kind of pivoted from there and got into, sales and management, and kind of began my sales career, which eventually landed me, here where I am today at Hearth, where I get to work with thousands of contractors and construction pros every single day, helping them grow their business, and really loving what I'm doing. And really the journey to get here has been really great for me as well.
What sort of helped you to morph towards seeing financing for contractors, builders in the construction industry, something that you sort of gravitated to? What pulled you toward this financing niche, if you will?
Yeah, I think it really goes back to when I was in sales. I remember sitting in a sales room. We had a group of like 30 people, 30 sales guys out there. And each month we come and have a meeting. And I've told the story a couple of times. So if someone's heard this before, I'm sorry. But I'll call him Alex. Alex was, young kid, kind of the bottom tier sales guy. And we had financing in place. Like, we were selling very expensive things, $60,000 to $100,000 jobs, every single week that we were selling. But Alex was always like a lower performer. There's guys in that room that have been selling, for 25 years, really, really seasoned, really great salespeople. We had this great training once about offering financing. And the very next month, reports come out, the scoreboard goes up in that sales room, and Alex is like number 2. He's traditionally like number 27. He's number 2, and I sold like the second or third like biggest month in company history overnight, basically. Like within 30 days, he'd done it. And people asked him, like, "Man, Alex, the hell did you do this month to close as many deals?" And it really subtle, simple answer. He's like, I just started asking people they needed financing, asked if they, monthly payments, and started presenting monthly payments to them. I think it was like right then I realized how impactful it is, not just for businesses, how convenient it is for homeowners, but what it can actually do to like a sales professional's life, how they can actually change their life for the better by helping close more jobs, helping close bigger deals, having happier customers, and just making the sales process so much easier and less stressful. And Alex went on to, I think he paid for his graduate school in cash, paid the rest of his tuition in cash at Purdue University. I know he's got a couple of kids now too. really set up like for the rest of his life. She said that he learned how to sell better. And financing was such a huge play in that.
Well, so when financing sort of that light bulb and looking at Alex and listening and seeing his story, you seeing it firsthand and using financing as that light bulb moment goes off. Let's speed up now to 2023. In terms of financing or issues, what do you think contractors are facing just financially, not necessarily the financing, but in terms of a builder or a renovator? What issues are they facing financially now here, speeding up to 2023, that they're showing and telling you about problems they're having?
Yeah, I think we hear a lot of different stuff. I think it comes down to the individual contractor and the business. But something that really stands out to me is really the access is what I'm hearing a lot about right now. Things have things have become really expensive, right? Supplies, labor, the cost of job, all those things have increased in price tremendously over the past decade, especially the last 2 or 3 years. We went through like this hyper growth stage for a lot of companies, which had a lot of great things come from it, but also create a lot of cash flow issues. Forcing companies to really think, how are we going to pay for these things? How are we going to buy materials? How are we going to buy supplies, infrastructure, personnel and payroll? How's the customer going to pay for these things? So some of the best companies out there are, they hire the best talent and they use the best materials. They have the best product out there on the market, right? But now they have a lot of competition because a lot of competition entered the marketplace in the last couple of years. And so if you're in that position, what do you do to help a customer justify paying more while you're trying to keep operating costs low as well? So having access to capital, having access to people that can help you, access to the best talent, giving homeowners access to you and your business and making it easy to buy from you, that's increasingly expensive and challenging. Some of the best out there have decided, hey, I know we've done a lot of things the same way for the past 2 decades, but there's got to be a better way to do it. And then you get some like the new guys on the flip side, you get some of the new guys out there saying, hey, we've either got to catch up to the big boys or we're not going to exist next year. So they need access to the same benefits and the same tools that traditionally reserved for like well-established tenured companies, but they normally are cost prohibitive, which puts them at a constant disadvantage. So I think, when I think about like access, I think about from like almost 2 different standpoints. It's these well-established businesses that are trying to access, new capital and kind of keep their business thriving. And then the access being limited or becoming available for the smaller new businesses to catch up and actually compete.
So let's sort of land there on that small guy, that's trying to catch up with the big boys. And so when you're hearing feedback from those guys and, they're trying to do the catch up, they're trying to expand, do you hear like, we're going to do self-financing? And for that guy that's coming from that approach, what's an obstacles, probably more like it, that they're running into when you hear that type of feedback? Hey, I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah, I think that, we let's think about financing from kind of both our standpoints, from like the Blue Tape and like the Hearth standpoint, consumer and like, material financing. To buy a lot of material, to sell a lot of jobs, you have to front a lot of money. That's very hard for a new company. I've been in that position before. I remember I started my business out of the back of my Prius, the go-to vehicle for all construction pros, the 2007 Toyota Prius, and a rear view camera. That was nice. That's pretty early on, adopter of that. But you can't go out there selling job after job and expect, hey, we're going to get paid in 30 or 60 days and be able to float that money. You can't do that. It's too burdensome for you. So you have to like slow it down. You schedule things out really far. You have to take increasingly larger deposits for people, putting their money at risk too, because you might maybe use that for other things. when you think about like how the consumer is going to pay for it, then, traditionally there's a lot of, going back to access, traditionally small guys don't have access to offering financing to customers. There's basically saying, hey, go figure out how to get the money yourself. Here's my price. And the big boys advantage has always been, we can do this in your home without you leaving. I can secure the contract right now, not have to worry about coming back here in the next month, secure the money. And that playing field is getting leveled. It's getting leveled every single day. There's so much new technology out there, so many new products out there that are helping those small guys win. And the guys that are very serious about it are taking advantage of it, and they're starting to see like the fruit from that really bear out right now.
So it's a time factor as much as it is a cash flow factor. So if I see someone and I'm trying to close the deal, I guess time kills all deals has been a problem. And this is sort of, I love that level in the playing field, just to repeat what you said.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely timing, and that's timing for your customer. That's timing for your business. If I have to go buy material, how do I get deposits for that? If I'm self-financing it, I can't name anything more risky than putting everything on the line and self-financing. People still do it. People still will allow payments over the next 2 or 3 years out of their own pocket. That seems way too risky for me. Like you don't have to take that on anymore. This is not Mayberry. As much as I would like the world to be Mayberry, it's not Mayberry anymore. And we can't take on those risks like that anymore.
No. So cash flow is, and all we are, I just say to everybody around here at Blue Tape, we're problem solvers. Mm-hmm. And that's something I learned from you. I always listening to you, and it seemed like you're always solving a problem. And I hear cash flow, that phrase being kicked around, sort of define that not from Webster's, but from Benster's dictionary, from your dictionary, sort of define for the folks here, cash flow, why that's a problem, how you're looking to solve that.
Yeah. Again, not Webster's, but Ben's simple Indiana terms is, do I have money tomorrow for the things that I need to do today? So is it that I am doing something right now that's going to strangle me or my business, the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, next couple of months? I think a lot of us, me, myself included, fell into the trap of, I'll figure this out in a few months. Like it'll come together, it'll work out. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And so a lot of what we're trying to do, a lot of what I get to do each day is helping people really solve that problem of, hey, you need to be getting paid for your job, and you get paid respectable prices for your jobs. You get a lot of work going into this. You need to be able to collect payment on your terms. You need to be able to not take the risk of financing a job, but that's not your burden as a business owner. That is an added benefit you can offer to your customers to make it easier for them. That doesn't mean you have to take the risk on in that kind of scenario.
So just to clearly differentiate what we do and what you do, I'm working with a supplier for materials to finance those materials for that contractor, as an example. You're working with a contractor to finance that project for a homeowner, a residential. Would that be a good differentiator from what we do?
Yeah.
We're helping cash flow, but to two different segments. When my supplier or your contractor, when the light bulb goes on, this relieves cash flow. It helps, get the deal closed. What do you think that light bulb moment is for that small guy trying to catch up, close more deals? Where do you think, in terms of leveraging financing and offering it, where does that light bulb go on for him or her?
Yeah, I think there's so many misconceptions about financing. All financing does is create a cash paying customer for you. whether you're a supplier, having a contractor buy material from you, you're getting paid cash. Like that's all it does for you. As a contractor offering financing to a homeowner, all you're doing is turning them into a cash paying customer. The idea that financing and credit, those are complicated subjects. And I do not have an MBA. I've never worked on Wall Street. I've been there a couple of times to visit. Never held a job there before. There's a lot of financial people, really smart, savvy. You watch CNBC, you can understand half the things they're talking about. I think that's probably where a lot of people get their financial, wisdom from, is saying, man, financing sounds complicated, until it isn't, until you do it, and it's not really that complicated. The light bulb moment usually is three things. I'll say three things. Number one, when you realize that it doesn't have to be complicated. It's not complicated. And all it really does is create cash paying customers for you. Number one, your customers are going to borrow money from a 401k against their house, from Uncle Tom down the street, from a savings account, or from the bank you just helped them finance from. Number two is when you realize, when you create that buying experience. I talk about experience and convenience a lot here. So tell me if I'm boring you with those, but
no.
When you create a buying experience for a homeowner, you tend to sell more often. A good buying experience, you tend to sell more often and for higher tickets. So who doesn't want to sell? So when you offer financing, you're more likely to close the deal. Who doesn't want to be in that situation? You save time, you save money, you sell more, you sell faster.
Turning the coin, you're talking to folks in the construction industry every day. You're hearing back from the people that work with you every day, feedback. What's the thing right now, coming from the bottom up, from the small guy up, that's just pulling your hair out?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I give you quite a few things, but I don't think a lot of them are new. I think from like the financial side, let's talk about just overall financial. A lot of people just don't know their numbers. They don't know the actual cost, the actual job cost. They understand what the material cost and the idea of the labor that might be involved with it, but not pricing in fixed cost into the job. The cost of administration, the cost of fuel, adding all your payroll cost in, and really understanding, okay, here is my profit I need to hit each job. And whether they're hitting it or not, they don't even know. They think they're making money, but maybe they're not making money. So that's like the overall financial thing. I always recommend, hey, if you're running a business, I know you love your trade, but you've got to be business first too. That's the only way you're gonna be able to continue doing it. Invest in yourself to learn that, whether you're hiring someone to do it for you, or whether, you're going to take time to learn from some kid on YouTube that can probably teach you it, or, take classes, but really understand your numbers today, understand where your numbers are going to be in 6 months, in a year, kind of be able to project those out. You have a lot more longevity as a business, a lot more stability too. We always talk about growth. I think companies always think about growth, and they neglect it in our industry. We talk about growth. We want to hire X many more guys. We want to grow into these new communities, so on and so forth, without considering the stability. And when you don't have stability in this industry, going back to cash flow, you can be out of money. You can be out $200,000 pretty quickly. And if you're not stable, you don't have, the financial stability underneath your company. That's hard to climb out of, if something goes wrong, and things go wrong in our industry, right, Rick? Things go wrong every single day on every job site. And so you better know where those numbers are coming from. In terms of like the financing side, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to speak disparagingly of anyone out there, because I think everyone has a place in the market. But I think the cost of offering financing has become so burdensome, not just for companies, but also for homeowners. I think a lot of the fees that are involved with financing, are putting companies at disadvantage. People are starting to reject the idea of offering financing, which is going to hurt the bottom line in the long run. I think, without giving like pointed advice about what to do, I would encourage people to just understand what they're offering better. Understand, like we know interest rates are kind of crazy right now, bouncing around, right? Get an understanding of what that means for your sales process. Evaluate where you are, understand how much money you're spending on that, how much money you're making from that, and make the best decisions based upon those numbers, not just because I've been doing it this way for 5 years, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Let's go back to Ben and that Prius back in the day. You said 2003. What's the best thing you could tell that guy and relate it to what we've been talking about?
The two things I would tell myself is, number one, to quit talking so much. Just, yeah. Are you plotting? You just don't want me to talk so much, Rick? Is that right now?
I love it. No. That's not you. No, I hear you, brother.
Customers know what they want. Customers are buying for their reasons. You don't have to tell them everything. You don't have to have a plan they already have a plan. You just got to shut up and listen sometimes. Listen to what your customers are saying to you. Listen to how they're saying things to you. Who's telling you those things? And listening to their buying habits. I think as business owners and salespeople, we think we know. It's this weird disconnect. I don't know why it happens. We have an idea about how people should buy from us. But we're also consumers. And for some reason, we have a hard time connecting our consumer brain to our business brain and realize our customers should buy from us this way. But our consumer brain says, but we like buying this way. And those never get connected for some reason in our industry. Not sure why. But if we listen to how our buyers actually consume things, how they actually want to buy things, I think we're all at a huge advantage. We see a lot of companies out there like, you can buy roofs online right now without a sales guy ever going to your house. It's incredible. But people are doing it. And a lot of homeowners are doing it. That's the new buying habits of consumers. My number two to pile on there, and this is more for the small guy who I love. I love the small guy, the guy who has to overcome everything. We talk so much about growth and expansion, and we had this hyper growth stage, those last couple of years. And I think the focus traditionally in construction and contracting is so much about being the big guy. And by being the big guy, you have to be everywhere, right? You have to cover all the geography. When I was in central Indiana, I'm going to grow my business, which means I'm going to expand to 6 new counties. Well, turns out it's a lot easier to sell 50 more jobs this year in my own neighborhoods, in my own community, versus traveling 2 hours away each day to sell those jobs. I think if people really are determined to own their market, own their communities, you make so much more money. You spend so much less time. You want to be the go-to guy. When someone at church says, hey, I need a new roof, you want the minister to say, hey, Ben is the best roofer in town. You should call him. Like, that's what you should strive for. That's how you grow your business organically. It's a lot cheaper to do it. It's a lot easier to do it. It's a lot more cost effective to do it. But I think sometimes we get stuck in a mindset where, in order for me to grow my business, I just need more customers. But a lot of those customers are in your backyard already.
All good stuff, man. Those are such good nuggets. I hope the folks are taking notes and are going to just review this. There's been so many good nuggets. I want to go sort of start landing the plane here from this aspect. What I'm doing is I'm helping that guy on terms 30, 60, 90 days at Blue Tape to use trade credit for supplies and materials, whether that's a supplier offering it or a contractor utilizing and leveraging trade credit. Tell me in a 3-story elevator pitch, not the Empire State Building elevator pitch, but the 3-story elevator pitch, which you're doing, you guys are doing at Hearth.
We are trying to make the selling process easier for contractors. And the Hearth app is going to allow you to become the most convenient person to buy from, thus allowing you to sell more often, have happier customers, give them a better experience.
How can folks get in touch with you and you possibly help them or point them in the right direction?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn, reach out to us at Hearth if you want to learn more about that as well.
You don't know how much I appreciate your time, brother, and what I've always learned from you. And I know the folks are going to, get something. So I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me here. Really look forward to hearing this all across the platforms here. And I've already liked and subscribed to you guys. So I love the podcast. Really look forward to what you guys have in store ahead of us. Thanks, man.
You got it, brother. Adios.
Thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe for more episodes like this. For more information on Construction Pals Podcast and Blue Tape, please visit bluetape.com.